All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for being here today at Decisive Marketer Talks, right? I'm Henry Ho, and I'm an entrepreneur, digital marketer, and most importantly, a software enthusiast. And today, I have Michael Hill here. He's the founder of Frill.co. It's a SaaS-based roadmap, feature request, and bug reporting tool, right? And I personally am sort of using Frill right now. I actually got it for my upcoming SaaS that I'm working on right now. But today's talk is not about me. I'm so excited to have Michael here to share about his background, and we'll be giving away some prizes. And if you stay till the end, you may have a chance to win one, right? So let's bring on Michael in here. Right, so let's get started. All right, so we've got some people in the stream right now. So let's get going. Right. So Michael, tell us, about yourself, where you're from, how did you get into
Yeah,
entrepreneurship? All right. I heard that you were running an agency or something like that before you jammed into SaaS. And what did you see or experience that made you decided, to you know pivot into the SaaS business? And I recall that also, Frill is not your first SaaS rodeo. Could you share about your first SaaS and also the other SaaS that you're running as well?
yeah, sure. Well, firstly, thanks for having me today. Very
You're
excited.
welcome.
Um, I'm here in Sydney, Australia. I'm actually originally from England. But yeah, you're right. I've got an agency background. I ran a big advertising agency for about 12, 13 years before I sold it. And then once I left that agency, I decided to get into startups and started a couple of consumer businesses, but ended up in B2B SaaS and have a couple of different B2B SaaS businesses. Frill is one of them. And Frill was really born out of a need for our other SaaS. We didn't find anything that really had the craft and execution that we wanted. And so we built Frill just to get feature requests, to build out a roadmap, um, and and yeah, that's kind of how it started. It started just out of a sort of being unhappy with the solutions that were out there at the time. But yes, I'm actually an old. I don't know if you remember, but I'm one of the world's worst developers. I used to be many years ago. I got out of development because I was rubbish. I used to be a Flash developer. I used to love
Wow.
Flash. Or Flash. That was a long time ago. Um, but yeah, that's how once I'd done with advertising, I really love building things and working out how they work and taking a lot of care over certain functions and the UI and the UX. And that's what I get a real kick out of, and me and my partner as well. Love building beautiful things that are well made. And that's hopefully comes through in Frill, and everything we do is sort of something that we really, really focus on is craft of execution.
Right. But why did you decided to sell off your agency business and jump into SaaS?
When or why?
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 Yeah.
I think after 10 years, I realized that I was in love with the company, but not the work. And I still loved everybody that I had, nearly 100 people working for me. I absolutely loved my company, but I fell out of love with advertising. Facebook and Google ruined creative advertising, and the work wasn't as exciting. Um, I'd already sold part of my business, and it had grown as a result of that. And so I felt like I was leaving it in good hands. Um, and it was just time for me to move on. I think sometimes you just know when it's just time, and you wake up one day and you just go, enough's enough. I need a new challenge.
Right.
Uh,
So
and I felt like I was almost career squatting. I was still the CEO of the business for 2 or 3 years after I sold it, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I fell back in love with building things and making
yeah.
things and going back to the execution rather than making ads and campaign driven stuff that lives and dies within three months, right? A lot of the
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
that I spent
It's
10 years.
always it's a little bit about, catching, always trying to catch up with
Yeah.
what's the latest
Latest
advertising,
trend
or
or
Google,
yeah,
Facebook changes, right? Yeah.
yeah. And we just found I think a lot of people in advertising were getting disgruntled with it as well. It was just sort of it felt like everything we were creating for 3 months and then it would die. So there was no legacy. There was nothing that you were building and building upon. And that was one of the nice things about SaaS and well, any kind of online business. It felt like it was. I could still build things and create things, but I was more the client rather than the agency,
Yeah.
which was great. So yeah.
Yeah. But it must be hard to actually move away. Did any of your previous team actually join you in your new ventures?
No, well, Tom and I have worked together before, and we kept on kind of flirting to work together again and create a company, and in the end, that's what happened. And Tom and I now work together pretty much exclusively in SaaS. We have a mission to create $10 million annual recurring revenue businesses by 2028, and we have a methodology and a way of doing it, and it does take a number of years to do that. We don't. We tend not to go after consumer stuff. And that's why we're sort of excited by B2B. It's a little bit easier to build for B2B. When you're in consumer stuff, that consumer SaaS or consumer tech, the price point, you have to get scale because the price point is so low.
Could you
If you're
just elaborate a little bit about maybe give some examples of what do you mean by consumer SaaS and B2B
consumer
SaaS?
tech, would be something like Airbnb or uh, Netflix,
Oh, I
right?
see. Yeah.
Where the value you're getting from Netflix, right? I'm getting hundreds, thousands of hours of potential entertainment for
Yeah.
$15. That's crazy. It's
Yeah.
amazing. The price point is so low. It's impossible to break through in consumer tech without huge amounts of funding.
Yeah.
Whereas with B2B, you're more likely to be able to bootstrap B2B than you are consumer tech. And when you're in consumer tech, you're competing with something like a Netflix for that $15.
Yeah.
15 and trying to not competing from the point of view of you've got the same sort of tech, but you're competing for $15. And
Yeah.
it's hard to compete against something like a Netflix. Whereas in B2B, it's easier to part the money. The prices are higher. The people who are purchasing their money, and you're solving a very niche problem. You're never like a Netflix or an Airbnb because your total market size is much smaller, which means that it's harder to get funding. Which means that sometimes it's good for us because we never ever look for funding. We always bootstrap everything, and actually sometimes funding can make you weaker to a bootstrapped company because a bootstrapped company can come in and play a price game with you, and a
Yeah.
bootstrap has no runway, right? They can last forever, essentially. So that's why we sort of geared towards the B2B SaaS, and Frill was just a particular annoyance of ours, really. With some of the businesses, we just couldn't quite find something that fitted well with what we were doing. So in the end, we built one ourselves. And we did, I have to say, we did think it was going to take a lot less time. It's taken a good 9 months, nearly a year to build to where we are now. We are annoyingly pedantic about every single detail. We argue over every
Yeah.
pixel.
I can see that in the detail of your products.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what comes with it. It's a good thing and a bad thing. It means that we care a hell of a lot about every single feature that we push out. Okay, but it means that we will not push out 10 features a week. We'll never do that. If that's what you're looking for with in a product that you're buying, you're probably better off finding something else. We take a lot of care on every feature. We take a lot of care choosing what feature to push out as well, to what feature to build. So it means that we work on big features that are super important, but we might not have thousands of tiny features, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But
So
how because being very particular about every single detail, right? I think that's a good thing, right? But how do you know when to stop and actually move forward?
it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. We know when to stop when everyone's finished arguing. Um, and I think, in the words of Brian Clough, who was a great football soccer manager, he said, "When we've got a disagreement, we all get into a room, we discuss it for 15 minutes, and then we decide I was right." No, we argue. We argue. Not. I'm not going to say argue. We discuss a lot, but we try and make sure that strong opinions lightly held. More often than not, everybody's feature and things are going to get built, but it's just a matter of priorities and when they're going to get built. For example, at the moment, we're trying to decide, what should we build? Should we build language mapping so that every single language is covered for, right? You can translate all of Frill into your own language. Or should we build dark mode? Right? And dark mode has votes, right? But ultimately, is it commercially imperative? But more people seem to want dark mode, whereas language mapping means that we can open up to, China, Spain, France, Uruguay, wherever. And so one of the things we do, and one of the things we talk about a lot, is what to build first. It's not whether to build it or not. It's more just about priorities.
Yeah. But for me and my business partner, right, how we kind of move forward and move very quickly is that when it comes to the particular venture that we are working on, we would say, okay, either I be the leader or he be's the leader, right? So and then so either one of us would have the final say, right? So in the business that I run, I have the final say in terms of marketing, in terms of business development, whereas my partner has the final say in terms of like HR or finance and stuff like that, right? So that's how we kind of make decisions, right? And do you have a system like that?
We kind of do. So with Frill, there's four founders, right? And each of us have, there's a back end tech founder, front end tech founder,
Yeah.
design founder, and I'm the only one who I kind of sit in the middle of everything. So everyone does have, if it's a design issue, I'll speak to the head of design. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
We are actually, one of the killer features that we are going to build in Frill is going to solve exactly this problem, right? One of the nice things about Frill is you can get 100, 200, 300 ideas from your customers. That doesn't mean that the one with the most votes is the one you should build. It doesn't mean that, that just because dark mode has 200 votes, that's what you should build. And so we're actually building a feature that allows you and your teammates to decide based on effort and reward, and then vote internally about what feature to push into production. So that's actually something that one of the big points of difference within the next 6 months that you're going
Yeah,
to
I
see.
think that's a very interesting idea. I mean, you can have public opinion, but then it also, I mean, you have to also consider your team's
Yeah.
suggestions as well. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting idea.
Not just effort versus reward. Some features you just know you have to build, right? Like we've got SSO on all of our across all of our plans. That was absolutely imperative that we did it. It was boring as batshit to do. Right? It was terrible. Sometimes you just got to, after a project like that, you just got to build something fun,
Yeah.
right? You just got to switch it up and go, right, what do we want to build? What does everyone else want to build? What do we need to build to make us feel good? To keep spirits high and keep going. And so after SSO, we actually went and built. We're building reactions, a really nice, fun, playful way to get more interactions on every idea, and that's just something we all decided that we really wanted to do. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is we're trying to create Frill so that it's not just a consumer-led decision-making platform. It should be a tool that helps everybody
Contribute.
decide what goes into
Yeah.
production.
Yeah.
Because customers might not take into account commercial viability. They might not take into account how hard something is to build.
Yes.
We might take, the one with the most votes might take us a year to build, but we're not going to go away for a year and not build everything else. And so it's a bit of a mix and match of what customers want and
Yeah.
what we need.
Yeah, I think that's a very good consideration. So the name Frill, right? How did you came up with that, right? Is it like the opposite of no frills, right? Because that's so that it's fanciful and luxurious. Because if so, I think it's a great name, right? You've got a great name here.
Yeah, look, I wish I had a better story for you. I don't. I spotted it on GoDaddy. GoDaddy. I was on GoDaddy, and I was like, God, that's a cool name. This was we've had the domain, I think, for like a year before we started Frill. There was no connection. It was just a short name. .co is always good. It's a top level domain. And I know it sounds really sad, but I really liked F. Like graphically, it's a really nice letter. And it's short, it's memorable, it rolls off the tongue quite nicely. So I wish I had a better. There's no. I'm going to make one up. I tell you what. Next time we speak, I'm going to make one up. I'm going to make up a story. I don't know what it is.
No problem, right? So, could you share with us where you think Frill stands out from your competitors, right? Since you're a much younger company, how do you think you can compete in this niche?
Okay, so key differentiator is UX and UI. I think everybody who we've spoken to, all our customers, says that it's the biggest difference currently that we've got. Single sign-on is another big difference. It doesn't seem like many of our competitors have that, and it's a key differentiator for SaaS businesses that don't want their customers to sign up.
Yeah.
It's frictionless, right? When you've got SSO built in, it's just a really, really nice way of operating. I think there are two other areas, a couple of areas that are not built yet. One is our new widget builder, which should be live within the next 3 weeks. That's going to be pretty cool. It'll allow you to pick and choose and create multiple widgets, whether it's a roadmap widget, an ideas widget, announcements widget, or mix and match and go, right, I want a roadmap and ideas widget, and I want it to be a modal, or I want it to be a popover or a tray, or I want it to launch from a launcher. It's going to be a pretty cool piece of tech. We're launching that in the next 3 to 4. I say 3 weeks, probably 4 weeks.
Okay.
That's going to be a huge differentiator because you're going to be able to pick and choose what part of Frill you want in your business. So if you've got a WordPress site and you just want to show off your roadmap, you can just create a roadmap widget.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, and so you can actually sort of have all the different flavors of Frill in different parts of your website and totally take it apart. We've already had people. We've got our WordPress SSO plugin launching, I think, on the weekend, and we didn't even build that. One of our customers built that based off of the tools, the SSO and webhooks that we've given them. They built it within a week. That's pretty incredible. I'm really kind of pleased with how our customers are responding, and So another point of differentiation was it looks like we might be building an app store within Frill so that people can build apps into Frill, which would be pretty
Oh,
cool.
that's very nice. That's very interesting.
Big piece of work. Don't quote me on it. So we're just trying to map it out and work out what is the, is it really something we're going to go down? But I mean, it could be that you go into Frill and you buy. One of our customers has created a plugin using webhooks that allows you to export all of your data to a Google Sheets. Sounds simple, but what if he could sell that as a $5 plugin, as a $5 app within Frill? And then you activate a whole developer community to build tools, build a Shopify plugin, build a Webflow plugin, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So I think that's where that's something we're thinking about at the moment. We're looking at a cool little feature at the moment as well, which is idea battles. So sometimes when we as founders can't decide, or when you're
So you
building,
can have a voting kind of feature.
yeah, but let's say you've just got two features, right? You don't know which one you don't know which one to build next. So you can actually just send out. Both are important in our use case. Actually, two features that we've got: dark mode and language mapping. And so we're building out a little feature that will allow people. It'll be a battle between those two features, just those two features, and we'll just send out an email to see who wants what. So that'd be a cool little feature in the future. But there's already a couple of different points of differentiation. I think mostly look at the UI and the UX. If you're after a tool that has millions of features, don't go with us. If you're after a tool that has the core features that out of the box is ready to go, we've got businesses, we've got Content Studio, TextAU, Blogly, God, off the top of my head.
We had Longshot AI just yesterday, and they are using Frill as well.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are well-established businesses that are using Frill already. So it's not like Frill doesn't have enough features at all.
Yeah. And I think Texel is also using Frill.
Who is, sorry? Yes, they are.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have the right features. It's not bloated. And give us a try on your mobile as well. See how fast it is, and that's super important. I think you'll see that when you use Frill, you will get more feedback than using our competitors. It's just easier to add ideas. It's frictionless. I just seen somebody ask, what if I would like a feedback only tool, no roadmap? Can we customize its modules? Yes, that's exactly what we're building right now. You'll be able to create a widget and turn off any of the features or turn on any. You can have all 3 parts, 1 part, 2 part, whatever you like. You'll be able to create a feedback widget, and that's it, with no roadmap. So yes, in about 3 weeks' time you will, and that will be available on every plan, free plan, paid plans, all the AppSumo tiers, everything.
Yeah. So you have your answer here, right, Stephen? Right, Stephen asked that, right? And could you share about your team, right? How many developers, customer support, or designers you have? How are they like? Do they, keep you motivated to want to create the vision of Frill that you want? Any fun activities or company culture Frill has that helps your team to bond, right? Because a lot of us, we are solo entrepreneurs, right? We want to know how is it like managing a team.
Okay, so you probably won't like my answer. More people, more problems is often the case, right? And a team of 4 people can do the same as a team of 10 people within reason. We like to try and keep things super, super small. All 4 of us are we're washed up ad execs. We've all worked together in the past. We we don't mess around. We don't mess around um, building things that we don't think we'll need. We are straight to the point. We don't have a lot of time, so we don't. There's no time for dilly dallying. There's no time for too much cultural stuff. To be perfectly honest, we just get in and get things done. In terms of managing a team, we do have people that work on Frill, remote teams. But all four of us, my co-founder and I, Tom, my mate Thomas, we've only met each other twice.
You mean like in person?
In person, yeah. 2 20-minute meetings about something like that. And I sometimes think that's the best co-founder relationship you can possibly have because you don't argue.
Yeah.
And so culturally, how we work as a four, I think over communication is key. I like to, much to Tom and the guys' annoyance, I call them and I call them and phone them. I try not to do too much stuff on Slack and on platforms like that. I call them and annoy the hell out of them. And just even if I haven't got a huge amount to talk about, it's good to catch up every day without fail. Have a quick phone call.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
It's just good because you never know what else you'll talk about. You might talk for 10 minutes. There might not be any big things to get done, but you've had a 10-minute chat. And then you go, oh, what about that? And then something happens. And especially with remote teams, I think it's very easy for communication to be really cold and things to get lost in Slack and whatever other tools you use. And so
Yeah.
pick up the phone.
Right. So, what are some challenges or big hurdles that your company is occupied with currently?
Probably the biggest challenge for the biggest challenge I think for us at the moment is slowing down. So I touched on this earlier. We don't want to rush things, right? We're not funded. We will never raise money. Which we love, right? We absolutely love that. It means we can work at our own pace. It means we can create the best product possible. We don't take any money out of Frill at the moment. Everything goes back into the business. We don't necessarily need the money in Frill, but it means that we can take our time. We have a really good cadence. I sometimes feel that we're going too fast. And I want everybody to slow down and make sure that everything we build is good and well thought through, and we do it in the right order. Whereas most startups are like feature, 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 feature. Let's get it out. Let's get it out. Let's get it out. And you can see that in our competition.
Yeah.
Not thought through. It's either not thought through or it's a cookie cutter copycat of the one before. There's no original thought there.
Yeah.
So I think that slowing down is super important. And if you have no runway, and what I mean by that is if we've never raised money and you have no runway, the only thing that is going to stop us succeeding is if we get bored. We're not going to run out of money because we have no money. Everything goes back in. We're not paying ourselves, as it were. So that's our outtake on it. I'm not saying that's the way everybody should do it, but I think biggest challenge is slowing down and making sure we don't overstretch and don't burn out. Second biggest challenge I think is really with this strategy is we will always be 6 months behind in terms of number of features, right? And so it's a challenge convincing people that that's the right strategy. And so sometimes, depending on the users, we have already, the market leader probably out there is Canny at the moment. We have lots of people switching over at the moment. Canny's an amazing tool. Been going for 3 or 4 years. But we have lots of people switching over because they 90% of what they need is already done in Frill. They don't need the other 100 different features.
Yeah.
But convincing people that is the case, I think that's a big challenge for us. I mean, you look at AppSumo, the current AppSumo deal and everything, convincing people that they should buy Frill and use Frill over Product Stash, which was on AppSumo, which is a great product. That was on AppSumo, I don't know, what, 3 months ago?
I think about 3 or 4 months ago.
3 or 4 months ago. So
Yeah.
how do you convince somebody to use Frill when they already bought something like Product Stash? And we're not trying to, but you can see people's brains whirring. It's like, why would I've already got a tool for that? Why would I switch? And look, at the end of the day, both will do the job that you need. It depends on whether you want, in our opinion, the best tool or the cheapest tool. And both will probably end up doing the job for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a different strategy. It's probably not one that you see much in startups. It's going slower, but I
Yeah.
think
Because I think we are a little bit spoiled when we are, buying lifetime deals all the time. Is that because some companies are very much generous when they're doing the lifetime deals, right? So, but when you come to the MRR class customers or clients, is that they buy what is enough for them, right?
yeah,
They buy what is enough for them, but we buy more than what we need. So that's usually what happens, right? So
yeah,
uh,
okay.
even though we wouldn't even need everything, right? But we still buy them, right? So I think that's the little bit of the difference in expectations when you
Well, I
are
think
running a lifetime deal.
one of the nice things, though, paradoxically about that, is that
Mm.
in the early stages, yes, the nice thing about giving over an unlimited deal, right? Not unlimited companies, but unlimited features. The really nice thing about that is you get a lot of people testing features that you have not tested on real customers, right?
Yes.
So it is kind of nice to give away those features free because they might not be right. You might not have got them right the first time around. In fact, I can almost guarantee you didn't get them right. And so, yes, we can get a bit spoiled on the customer side and everything, but from a founder side, it's nice to have somebody testing those features, and it's nice to have, if I had one wish with this deal, is, and it kind of speaks to what this group is about. I just don't want anyone buying it and not using it. If you're not going to use it, don't buy it. Right? I really, really, really want people to use
Thanks
this.
for saying this, right? Thanks for saying this because my group is all about using your lifetime deals, right? It's all about using your lifetime deals.
Yeah.
Do I have? I mean, I do have some tools that I don't use, but I just recently take a look at my entire list of tools, and I see that I'm actually using about 80-90% of them, right?
Yeah.
and
Right.
and that's why I want to tell everyone who's actually watching this right now is that don't get a tool if you're not going to use it, right? Try, if once you get it, try and utilize it as soon as possible, right? Yes, right. Someone said use your LTDs, right? Thanks so much for saying that. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We sort of, I had someone contact me today on the help desk, and they sort of said, look, I bought the AppSumo Tier 3. I only need one company. I've got these 4 other companies. And they sort of said, what should I do with them? I said, oh, just make sure they get used. And he sort of said, look, well, can I resell them? And I said, look, don't, you can resell them, but please resell them to somebody who's going to use them. And then he said, "Can you help me resell them?" I said, "No, I can't help you resell them."
Why doesn't he just,
Hey, look,
the
there's only so far I'll go on help desk, right? You got to you got to resell them yourself.
yeah,
But I said, just make sure you resell them to somebody who's going to use them. Right, that's the most important thing to us.
yeah, because your tier three deal is three companies, right? But the white labeling is only on the tier three, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess they are buying it for the white label feature, right?
Okay, so I've got a question for you. Why is
Yeah.
white labeling so important?
Um, I guess if
Why
we
do you think white labeling is so important? Because
personally, I don't really care about white labeling, right? Personally, I don't really care about white labeling. But what I have realized is from the community, right? Those who are actually running an agency, they are, because the problem is that when you use these tools on your clients and with your branding on it, people realize that the clients later on realize that, hey, why am I paying so much to you, right? You as the agency, when I could just, pay the company directly and have this within within my website, something like that. So that's
yeah,
why, white labeling is actually important for those that are
so
running an
it's more
organization.
about on selling to a client rather than hiding powered by or hiding, right? It's more about actually making a markup, and it's a financial kind of
Yes.
thing. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
in a way they are kind of like reselling your tool, but it's for a client that
yeah,
they serve, right? So that's that's
yeah.
that's why they are doing it.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's really tricky with that sort of thing, because if a client really, the best white labeling solution in the world, if a client wants to find out what that tool is, they can find out what that tool is, right?
Yeah,
It's not hard. And so
yeah,
I always look at white labeling and I'm like, why does everyone? It's kind of it's quite a weird one. People will pay an absolute premium for it, um, and
yeah,
the reason why on our website we charge a premium for it is because our product is our marketing. Right? The more people see the product, the more customers we get. We've seen
yeah,
that hundreds of times, right? And so that's why we charge a lot for it, because as soon as you take away our branding, you take away our marketing.
yeah. And
Um, yeah,
but there are tons of people within the lifetime deal community itself. They will not buy a tool if there's no white labeling. So
yeah,
and they usually are the ones that run an agency.
yeah. Okay,
So
yeah,
yeah. So that's, I mean, that's something to consider when you're running a lifetime deal, I guess,
yeah.
on wherever you are running it on, right? So my next question is: did launching a lifetime deal on AppSumo help you to grow Frill?
Well, we've only got 1 week left on our lifetime deal, so it's probably too early to ask that question. Um, it's done a couple of really nice things. It's done so far. It's done a couple of really nice things. It's put me in. It's got given us a lot of feedback. Um, it's given us access to a lot of early stage businesses, um, like TextAU, like Content Villain, like Blogly, like Arcadal, and they've all launched on AppSumo and used our tool. And there's a growth curve. There's a curve of how many ideas you get in a business, and a lot of those ideas happen at that very early stage, right? When you're
Yes.
just about to launch on AppSumo, right? When
Yeah.
you've got 1,000 more things to build, but actually the problem is you don't know which order to build them in. That's where Frill can help you. A lot of the time, you know what you have to build, you just don't know what's important. So I think that's really where AppSumo has helped us. We kind of know what we need to build. You know, it's partly what customers want. It's partly what we know as founders, but it's also, I think now what AppSumo has allowed us to do is go, okay, right, guest authentication. That was it. We didn't realize how important that was.
Yeah.
Let's build that one before we build this other one. So I think building stuff in order. I think long term it will probably be great for our SEO. It's been nice to get a bit of a cash injection, but as I said, we didn't really focus on that. Um, I think come back and ask me in 2 weeks. How about that?
Yeah, but I'm sure that I guess they kind of help you to um have a better idea of where are certain gaps within
Yeah.
your tool is, and that's something that I really enjoy when it comes to lifetime deals. Is that every time I suggest something to the founder is like, hey, how come I didn't think of that? And they would always say that to me, right? So that's something that I really enjoy about
Yes.
this lifetime deals over here. So next question is, Frill seems to be getting a lot of love and heat from the LTD communities so far. As you mentioned, the product stash, right? One of your competitors. Previously, we had that on the AppSumo marketplace. Everyone said that, oh, this is a marketplace gem, and we had Upfeed, who recently didn't have some news about them so far. And there's also, I think, User Face, which is also currently on AppSumo Marketplace right
Yeah.
now. Right. Of course, Frill is looking for a long-term business, but in the lifetime deal journey right now that you're going through, they are, your competitors, right? So, and they offer a very generous term, right? So what would you say to these people, whoever is in the community, right? They ask, how do you get them to consider looking at Frill instead? Because they give a very generous deal, while yours is a little bit more limited, right? You
Yeah.
got three companies for
Companies.
tier three, sorry, five, right? Five, and how would you tell people to look at Frill instead?
Do you want the best or do you want the cheapest? Simple as that, right? It really is as simple as that, and you can see, I think, a hope from the craft and effort that we put into Frill, the UX, how fast it is, how easy it is to use. If you're after the cheapest, don't bother with Frill. Don't. We're not going to be for everybody. We're not trying to be for everybody. If it is really about unlimited companies, don't. We're not for you. We never will be for you. As a mutual sort of benefit, I think the one thing about LTDs is you get mutual benefit, right? And somebody who needs something unlimited and cheaper and cheaper is not going to be a benefit to me as a founder. And so if there isn't a mutual benefit, the relationship falls down. There needs to be a symbiotic relationship, not a parasitic relationship. And I think this is super, super important. And if cheapest is what is really, really what you're after, you also got to consider, are they going to be around in a year's time? Right? Really, really, are they going to, look at team, look at the quality of the build? Is that company, which company is going to deliver MRR? Really, you want your company, whoever you back, to deliver MRR. You want them to be a massive success because it means your LTD is going to go up in value, and it's just going to be a company that builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. So ultimately, it comes down to: are you going to pick a 10-to-1 horse or a 3-to-1 horse? Right? And it's as simple as that, really. I don't think I need to try and convince people on monetary value. Um, I want to convince people because we're the best product. That's the most important thing for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, even if you get the tier three, right, five companies, right? How many of you actually have five different companies, right?
Yeah.
So unless you're really using you're selling uh these feedback tools for your clients, and you specifically have maybe SaaS based clients, or clients that would actually make use of this roadmap or feedback request tools. I don't think you really need more than five.
Yeah.
right? I don't really think that you need more than 5. And if you
And
want
the
quality,
features
I
are
think
unlimited
what
on all
Frill
my
is.
plans.
Yeah,
So it's not like there's on that tier 3. There's nothing left out. I mean, even the tier 2 is really the most popular. We're finding because people just go right. We just need that, And actually, a lot of people, especially SaaS businesses, are saying no, no, no. I don't want white labeling, right? I don't want it because if something goes wrong, I want to blame you. I want them to know we use a separate tool. I don't want to have to upkeep it. I don't want them to come to me if there's a problem.
yeah,
And so that tier 2 is actually becoming the most important plan for everybody. Which
yeah. I think that's a very good idea that that you have your branding in there, right? Just use tier 2, have Frills branding in there so that if anything goes wrong, right, they would come to you, right?
yeah,
Blame Frill.
exactly.
That's a good idea.
You look at, for example, Intercom. Right? Intercom, what is it? Big. It's a unicorn now. They had powered by Intercom on their paid plans forever. I think they've taken it off now, right? But that was part of their big growth model, and nobody batted an eyelid. They almost wore it as people would have it as a badge of honor that it was powered by Intercom. If your product's good enough, that kind of
Yeah,
powered by, I think, is almost can
yeah,
become. We use Frill. We don't use anything else. We use Frill.
yeah,
Proud of
yeah.
that.
It's
That's
a
really important, I think, and that's
premium branding, right?
premium branding.
It tells your clients, your customers, that we use the best tools, right? Because
Yeah,
we can afford it, because we are making money. We are a
yeah,
sustainable company, right? I think that's another very good way of making use of branding, right? Your branding on your product itself, right?
exactly.
So so this is going to be a little bit the tough question, but although based on your experience, based on your years in your career, we understand that every startup founder would love to have a glorious exit. Although I don't think that is the case with Frill, because you and your partner's goal is to build a company that is able to do a 10 million annual recurring revenue per year. So that's definitely, until you get there, I doubt that you guys are going to exit anytime. And you are bootstrap company. You don't take equity investment at all. I'm
Yeah,
not sure if you do take debt funding at all, but equity wise, you're not doing anything like that. And but some of these startup founders, they have uh you know exited and left some of the lifetime owners stranded and abandoned, such as PieSync, Headline. These were some of the darlings in the lifetime deal community previously. uh, while some startups fail and not able to maintain their services, those who succeed seem to abandon their early
yeah.
supporters as well. So what would your perspective, what's your perspective on this? And would you be putting any conditions down, right? If, let's say, Frill, if you decide to exit and maybe move on to a different path of your life, what happens to lifetime license owners? Are we protected, right? And
Yeah.
if so, what would they be?
Okay, let me backtrack a little bit because firstly, our what we're trying to do is create $1 million businesses, not one $10 million business. Um, our strategy is to essentially never sell. Our strategy is more of a buy to let strategy rather than a buy to refurb and ship on. Right. So our strategy is actually to get our money will be taken out through profits in the company, not through exits. Okay, so it's a very different strategy. We don't even see it as a startup strategy. It's more a bricks and mortar kind of
Yeah.
strategy. So Um, I never say never, right? In terms of exit, but our strategy is to never sell, right? That's it's as simple as that. So the deal is the deal, and that's what we've signed up with you guys, with all LTD customers. Let's assume it did sell though, for whatever reason. You never know what's going to happen. I've never understood why, especially with a business like Frill, why people would stop lifetime deals. I just don't understand it. It costs us nothing, right? It costs us nothing. What I could see happening is if they lock down, so that you lock the account down so you can't sell it. Okay, so that is a cost to a company. If for example you sold a company, on-sold a company, the onboarding costs and extra customer care cost is a soft but very significant cost. Every time it changes hands, you've got to onboard somebody, and et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera. So I can
But
see.
it could be possible that maybe the acquirer just wants your infrastructure, right? They just want to absorb
Yeah,
you into whatever they're doing, and it could
yeah,
just make
yeah,
Frill not viable in their plans anymore, right? The new
yeah.
company's plans anymore.
Look, I think we'd probably. I think we'd probably write something into the sale contract to protect the lifetime deals that we've done here in the last 3 weeks. So, in answer to your question, yes, we could write something into the contract to protect people.
Yep.
Oh, it's not going to be within probably the next 10 years. So, my guess is that if what I hear is true, I doubt people are going to be using us for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years is a lifetime deal. Nobody, I don't know anyone who's been using the software for 10 years. What else? Would people buy us for it? I would suggest if someone was buying us, they'd probably buy us and close us down, right? And so, can I protect
Yeah.
that? No, I can't. Right? If they're buying us for the team or buying us for the tech, I can't protect that. That's a totally
Yes.
separate thing that I couldn't protect. What are the chances that I think that's part of the risk equation that everybody takes on when they buy a lifetime deal is the potential of that happening. And that would probably be out of my control, right? If someone was buying it to close us down,
Yeah.
they'd have to pay a lot of money, I have to say. But yeah, no, it's sort of I can't see that happening at the moment. I have heard of stories of that happening. I find it very strange, especially with businesses like us where customers cost nothing.
Yeah.
To how much server space do you take with
Because
your
because
account?
I feel that
Mega.
in today's world, right, people they want to get rich quick, you know.
Yeah.
So when an opportunity like that comes, I would say a lot of young founders would just grab the opportunity, right? If you ask, because you are a very long term thinker, right? You're a long term thinker, just like myself as well. Um, it would it someone would really have to pay a lot of money just to buy over my business as well, because I am getting very stable income, right? I'm getting very good stable income. I'm very happy with it. I don't have to, if I were to sell off my company right now, I would then have to go and build something up again because I wouldn't have any more income that's coming in, right? So I think people want to exit, get a big amount of cash, and just you know maybe enjoy it. They want that satisfaction, right? So
It's
and
like I
it's
said
like,
earlier, slowly, slowly, slowly building it up.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
and yeah, I think that you have that long term mindset, and I think a lot of people who buy into Frill lifetime deals, or who are going to buy into lifetime Frill's lifetime deal right now, I think a lot of you are in safe hands, right? Because of how Michael runs his business, right? It's a very, I would say, a very old school businessman, right? In a more what do you call that, new age business.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, getting
that's
that
exactly
that
what I
that old
want.
school thinking into the new kind of business in here. Yeah. So, do you have anything else that you want to share with our community? Otherwise, maybe we can see if there's any other questions, and then we could probably wrap this up.
Yeah, no, I think look, if I was asking anything of anybody is just give it a try. Don't Frill has a free plan. Go and give it a try. Go and sign up. Have a play around. Break something. Make something. Just see if you can mess it up. Um, it'll cost you nothing to give it a try. And that's it really.
Yeah.
Um,
So I have sent the link.
Try it, use it.
Yeah, I have sent the link in the chat. So whoever's watching right now, go ahead, sign up. If you have not tried Frill, go ahead, sign up with their free plan, and test it out for yourself, and give Michael your feedback, right? Give Michael your feedback. Right. Uh Otherwise, let's take a look at if there's any questions, and then if you have any other questions, whoever's watching right now, be sure to type your questions in the chat, and then we will wrap this up, right? So we have a question here. E Sorry, I think we have also answered that question right now. So anything else that you'd like to add, Michael? Otherwise, we'll just end this live right here.
Yeah, all
Right.
good. All good.
All
Thank
right,
you
awesome.
very
Right.
much.
I think that's all we have. And Michael, thanks for coming to my show here. And I hope you enjoyed this session, right?
Yes,
And
thank
I
you.
hope that maybe down the road you can join our show again. Give us some updates about your plans as well.
Absolutely. Love
Right.
to.
Awesome. Right. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks for being here. And everyone, I'll see you in my next episode. Right. Bye bye.
See you later.